And hello, everyone. I'm David Guzman. Welcome inside the NBC4i Digital Center. This is NBC4 Sports Extra, and it is the Ryan Day press conference edition. Not just any Ryan Day press conference, it's the one before the big game between Ohio State and Michigan. Let's take a look inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. There's the podium inside the team room as we await Ryan Day, who should show up to the podium at any moment from now. We'll keep an eye on that as we get ready for the 121st meeting between the Wolverines and the Buckeyes. Ohio State riding the nation's longest active winning streak. Right now, that is at 15 games, if my math is correct. They are 11-0 heading into this matchup, undefeated this season, but they head into the big house where the Wolverines have yet to lose this season at home, 5-0 at home. Also, Michigan riding a 5-game winning streak. On Monday, we heard from Coach Sharon Moore as well as some of the players on the Michigan side, and you can look for that NBC4 Sports Extra edition right here on the NBC4 streaming app. But today we're going to be hearing from the Buckeyes, specifically, of course, from Ryan Day. Ohio State looking for its first win in this rivalry since 2019. The Buckeyes have lost 4 consecutive games against Michigan. So some heartache to deal with and a lot at stake in this game. While we still await for Ryan Day to get to the podium, let's go ahead and take a look at the Big Ten standings going into this, because there are still 4 teams in the mix to make the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis the following weekend. Indiana and Ohio State remain the top 2. They are undefeated this season, both obviously with 8-0 conference records. And it's pretty simple. If Indiana and Ohio State both win their games, Indiana facing Purdue this weekend, then they will be in the title game in Indianapolis. However, if either team loses, then there is a little bit more involved, and that would be to the delight of Michigan and Oregon, because both of those teams are still in contention to make the Big Ten championship game. There's actually 7 different scenarios where Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon, they're all trying to get into the mix. There's a couple of scenarios where Michigan gets in, and then there's several scenarios where there's actually one scenario where Ohio State and Michigan would meet for the second consecutive week. All right, let's go to the podium. Ryan Day is there, and we'll hear from the head coach right now.
Yeah, just that they're doing everything they can to play in the game. We'll see how today goes, but they're working really, really hard to get back on the field.
Talk about the topic of trying to play loose in big games. Is that easier said than done? Like you guys came out against Oregon last year, felt like, in the Rose Bowl, just played loose. Is that easier said than done in big games?
Yeah, I think it comes down to your confidence and your preparation, and that's what we have to focus on. And it's easy to start to get distracted. At the end of the day, like the more prepared you are, then the more confident you go into games, and that's something that we focused all season on and prepared each week the same way, and focused on the things that we have to make sure we master in order to win this game. So yeah, I mean it's important to go in with confidence, and a big part of that is how you prepare. It's like when you go into a test and you know what the answers are, you come in and you walk in like and that's just the way it is in any game, and it includes this one.
Second row on the aisle, Jeremy Birmingham.
I know there's obviously a lot of discussion around the injury stuff, but one of the guys who's been in and out of the lineup with over the last month is Lorenzo Styles Jr., and he left the game on Saturday with the injury. What does it mean when he's out there for you guys defensively, and how confident are you that Bryce West, if needed, can provide the same kind of impact? Yeah, well, Lorenzo is somebody who has played a lot of football now, and I think when he made the transition from wide receiver to defense, started at corner and then moved into nickel. He's a guy who is a student of the game, works hard, has a great mindset, lives a life of discipline, and you're seeing him play his best football now. And when he's out there, he makes an impact on our defense, communicates well, covers well, can tackle. And so, we've worked hard to build depth at all positions. And, that's not the first time that, we've had to go and finish a game without Lorenzo. So if that were to come up again, we're confident that when we put the guys in the game, we have the right personnel to get the job done.
Front row, Austin Ward.
Right. Maybe the timing doesn't make sense right now, but if Chip wanted to come back, or if you had an opportunity to get him in the building to help, how would that work? And is that even a remote possibility if if you're not even thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I would say not thinking about that right now. Yeah, just too much going on. I do think right now, we have great chemistry, but we got to be on our game as a coaching staff this week. We got to be clean. We got to be great with our meetings. We got to be great on the field, and allow the guys to play really, really fast. So, all of that has been working up to this moment here. So, that's not something I thought about. And right now, we're gonna stick with what we got.
Second row, Stefan Krasnick.
To follow up real quick, do you have an update on Lorenzo? Do you expect him to play on Saturday?
He's going to practice today, but I don't have an update now.
Last year, you've been asked a lot about the meeting that happened after the game and before the playoff. That obviously fueled the run that you guys had in the postseason, but how much have those lessons stuck with you throughout this year? And, is that something you think about as you go into the game, some of the stuff that was said after the game last year?
Well, every season is different, and every game is different. And, you use, your past experiences to, do everything you can to put your team in a position to be successful. That's really what it comes down to. And so every year you learn, you grow. This is a different team. This is a different opponent in terms of their personnel. And so, we're going to do everything we can to win this game and focus on that, because what's coming, tomorrow or what's coming on Saturday doesn't matter. What matters is right now, like having a great Tuesday. But what's happened in the past doesn't matter either. It doesn't. You can learn from it, but let's just have a great Tuesday and prepare the best we can to go win this game on Saturday. And that's where the focus has to be, and we can't let anything else distract us.
Fifth row, Cameron T. Robinson.
Ryan, when you talk about trying to keep the same routine and the mindset the same, I mean, it's still Michigan, obviously, and there's the higher emotions for these guys. What's the message like for the players? I mean, on one hand, you want to keep things normal, but you also probably want to lean into that emotion, or maybe you don't want to.
No, I mean, you have to play with emotion, but you can't let it play with you, and you have to learn to use it as nitrous, not as a primary fuel source. And I think that's where, our guys have to continue to just focus on the process of how they prepare for games. And, they're going to have enough emotion when they get into the game. We don't need to incite any more of that during the week. They know how important this is. They know that this is our #1 goal every year to win this game. So that'll be our focus. And like you said, I mean, you start to get, over emotional, then you can start getting distracted and get yourself out of whack and not do your job. So let's just focus on each individual guy, making sure that at the end of the day, they've graded out a champion and that their positions have graded out a champion.
Dr. Merritt.
Coach Scott, they're banged up a little bit too with some things. What do you see when you see Michigan?
Well, talent all over the field. It starts on offense with the quarterback. He's a dangerous player. The running back, Marshall, is a very good player as well. Runs downhill. He's physical. Offensive line and tight ends are good. Marsh and Colley are very good as well. So a talent. On defense, same thing. You see, Moore and Barham off the edge. These guys are two of the best pass rushers in the country. And certainly, in the back end, they've created a lot of turnovers. So special teams is very good. I mean, again, what you'd expect in this type of a team, talent in all three phases, well coached. And so, yeah, we got to make sure that we're preparing at a high level this week and be at our best.
To the left, Joe Nugent.
Two first-year starting quarterbacks will face off in this game. What are the priorities for Julian?
To continue to do what he's done and, lead the team to a victory. That's it at the end of the day. And what does that look like? It depends on how the game plays out. But he's got to do his job, make great decisions, and ultimately, be the guy that leads the team to victory. And that's the #1 goal. The rest of it, is gravy. So, he's got to do as good a job as anybody in the building this week. I'll get out in front of it. He's got to communicate, handle the environment and what comes with it. He's shown composure this year, but again, now he's got to be at his best.
Over here to Dave Holmes.
Yeah, Ryan, of all the ways you could describe this week, is it fun to be the head coach at Ohio State this week?
Like I say, fun is kicking ass, and that's what we want to do on Saturday. So we're preparing to do that, and that's it. Like, there's nothing funny about this at all. But the fun part is winning. So we'll save the fun for being in the locker room and celebrating after the game. But the preparation is like, that's what you love. You love the competitive part of this and everything that comes with it. And our guys came in Sunday. Came in here yesterday, got work on their own, and even guys in the building today. I mean, they got a good bounce in their step, and they look forward to this week.
Second row, Stephen Hughes.
Just a little bit more, Julian. Obviously, you were always going to start and end your season with two pretty big matchups, and there was a way you guys approached things with Julian in week one. Even you said that maybe in hindsight you could have given him more, but you did that with a purpose. It's 12 games later, and your quarterbacks haven't necessarily been at their best in this game. What do you guys do with him? What does he do? Are you confident that you're going to get the best out of your quarterback in a game like this?
Just win. Like, that's it. You know, just lead the team to victory, whatever that looks like, and however that is, and that's the number one goal. So these guys are going to prepare all week, and we're going to put together a great game plan for them to be successful, and that's it. And they got to go put it on the field, and but it's not just the quarterback; it's everybody involved. You know, and that's what we all need to understand. I think. Sometimes when we look back, we want to point the finger at one thing or another, but it's everybody. And that's why, when we play in matchup games like this, it can come down to one play. So everybody in the entire building has got to be on point this week. And that's special teams, and that's on offense and defense and everybody involved with it. So certainly the quarterback gets a lot of the attention, but we need everybody.
On the way in the back, Dan Hill.
Wide receivers outside of Jeremiah and Carnell, it doesn't seem like you guys have gotten the production that you would want out of those guys. Do you feel like there's anything that maybe kind of held those other wide receivers back?
Well, I mean, I think they're getting more opportunity in games, and when they do, you're seeing some improvement there, and so this is great for them, and this is the challenge. This time of year, last year it was with the offensive line, and this year now it's with wide receivers. So. This is where you get tested, and this is what coaching's all about, and making sure that guys are stepping up to do their job when it matters the most. And so, again, great opportunity for them now that they've played some games here. They played some conference games. They got to continue to grow and step up this week.
Front row, Joey Kaufman.
To clarify, you said with Jeremiah and Carnell, they're working hard and everything they can. Do you expect they'll be able to practice, or what's your expectation for them going through this week, and how much do you need to see them?
I think that's probably something for the medical staff to figure, and when they give us the thumbs up, we'll go. But they'll be getting physical reps and mental reps all week in preparation. These guys have played a lot of football, so in the end, we'll look to the medical staff to give us the thumbs up or not. But they're going to do everything they can to get on that field.
Right behind him, Bill Lance.
Right, I think Will Kasmarik's only played like 19 snaps or something like that the last 2 weeks. One, is he okay? And then two, what have you made of sort of like the evolution of your multi-tight end packages? You talk sort of mid-season about figuring out what guys do best and maybe what they don't do best. Where do you think you are with that?
Will's doing great, and he's excited about this week. I think we built some depth there, which is what we kind of wanted to do here the last couple of weeks, give these guys a chance, and it's given us some more versatility in what we do. And that's important. I think it's important now more than ever when you're dealing with different personnel groupings and what these guys can do. And when you look at them, their versatility is critical. And so, I think when you look at them, they all can do things well. I guess there's some things that each guy does a little bit better than other, but there's not really anything that like we'd take them off the field for or anything like that. So, Keenan's done a nice job of building camaraderie in that room and production.
Second row middle, Doug Reese.
Ryan, obviously we understand your focus on routine this week. Is there anything that would be said or a little video clip shown or something that would be different this week, or is it really?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, because there's a difference of like the preparation, the routine, and then like the other stuff that maybe slips in.
Yeah. No, I mean, certainly you have to know your opponent, and you got to know what comes with it. But we're also not going to overdo it. So, there'll be a lot of things shown this week. So, and we'll just, the motivation's already there. And again, we need to make sure we stay focused.
Okay. And then there's been a lot of the way your defense has played this year. What does a great defense mean in a game like this in late November, in a tough game that's the most physical game of the year? How prepared do you think your defense is for this game?
Well, I think, when you watch the way we've played this season, it's, again, been in preparation for this time of year and in this game. And so, you go off of what you've seen, and it's important that we put a good plan together, that these guys can play fast on the field and understand situational football, try to take away what they do best. and just play great defense. And in a game like this, field position becomes critical. Everything becomes critical. So, I know that these guys are already in here working really hard on that game plan, and we need to have a great Tuesday practice. But it gives everybody confidence, when you have a defense that's playing well.
Fourth row on the aisle of Rob Olive.
Yeah, Ryan, I think this is your 7th one of these, 6th as head coach. What's the biggest challenge about this rivalry as a coach and then personally?
I just think it's probably, just making sure that, you're keeping everybody locked in and focused on doing their job. I know, boy, that sounds really basic and bizarre, but there's obviously a lot that comes with this. This game means a lot to a lot of people. Nobody more than the people in this building, but I think that's where, you have to make sure that you're compartmentalizing all that and doing, what you need to do to make sure you're ready to go play in the game and putting your guys in a situation to be successful. And then just getting rid of all the distractions and getting with your guys and getting ready to go play a game. And that's really it. I think, the rest of it is what you do all season long. I don't think you'd all of a sudden just get yourself up and ready to play in this game. It's a preparation week after week after week after week to be at our best for this one right here. And so here we go. All the foundation's been set. It's time to go put it to work. Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
Back in the day, Woody and Bo thought spies were in the building. It was crazy. How much does the paranoia ramp up? How paranoid do you guys get that something's happening?
I guess this week what you try to do is you just try to bring everybody a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. It's just kind of what happens when you're playing this week. And we'll do the same thing, when we head up there. It's kind of the way it is, I guess, maybe because Thanksgiving week and everything like that, we all just get a little bit closer and batten down all the hatches.
Ryan, from 2019, when you did this for the first time as a head coach to now, what lessons have you learned, maybe on the field, maybe off the field, preparation? Obviously, you're doing things differently this week. Like, what has changed from that first time being the head coach in this game to how you do it?
Yeah, I think when each year is probably a different story when you start it from beginning to end and what transpired during that game. And then, I think for me, it's just continually stepping back and looking, all right, so how did we get ourselves to that point during the season? And then how did we perform during the game? And clearly the last 4 years, it hasn't been good enough. We've lost the game. So you have to be critical and figure out, okay, what needs to be better? So, there's certain things schematically, there's certain things during the season that you feel like you have to prepare for to be ready and have things ready to go for this game. And then there's also just a mindset going into the game that you have to make sure you're ready for.
Right next door, Tony Griffith.
I know you can't look ahead to the game during the season, but how much do you look forward to it this week?
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to what we talked about, the whole idea of chopping wood and carrying water and, knowing that you just can't hustle to, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. You got to play through the year, and there's a lot that goes with it, and it's a building process and a foundation, and, we're finally here. So this is the best part of it. We've been waiting a long time to get back to this week.
Front row, Miller Millis.
Brandon Innes said last week that ever since the Michigan game and probably the meeting and everything that happened afterward, you have a different look in your eye. How do you think that game, that loss, how you handled it, changed you, affected you as a coach, any of that?
I don't know. We're all a sum of our experiences, and you learn from things and you grow from things, and you just try to do everything you can, again, to put your guys in a situation to be successful, and that's it. And we're going to rely on our experiences going into this week. I can't really say. We all grow. We do things well. We have our failures, but you got to grow from them, and that's it. And so this team right here is a different team. They have a great look in their eye. I think that's the most important thing here, and so that's the focus. And again, what has happened in the past really has nothing to do with what's going on right now. And what goes on today is the most important thing. And I know it sounds like a cliche again, and to say it over and over again, but that has to be it. And then we have to go do it in the game. And that's it. We have to field kicks. We have to, make our kicks. We have to take care of the football. All the things that we work on, because if we don't, we put ourselves at risk. And so that's it. Everyone's got to do their job and making sure we're prepared to go.
Third row, Spencer Holbrook.
Ryan, whether it was
way back with Beanie in 2006 or Chris in 2018, Garrett in 2019. It seems like freshmen can make a huge impact in this game. What makes you ready to trust a freshman in this game? And do you think that this is a good opportunity for Bo to make an impact in this game?
Oh yeah, we need Bo to play well. We need him to be at our best, at his best, like everybody else. And you just go for what you've seen all year. And we all know that what this game means, but we also have to make sure they understand it's football. And so you have to trust what you've done leading up to this point. That's why we work so hard in preparation and what he's done up to this point in his growth. So, and these are the types of games where legends are born, and so these guys understand that. And I think about Chris Olave as a freshman, that year where he blocked the punt and had 2 touchdowns in that game. Like that, his career just took off from there. Garrett Wilson had a big game that year. Like you said, guys in this game have used this as an opportunity to springboard their career. So, great opportunity for those guys.
Got time for just a couple more. We'll go to Dylan Davis.
Brian, Josh didn't play on Saturday, but he was on the status report. I guess what's his status going into this game? Between him and Gabe, who do you anticipate being in that rotation?
Yeah, we'll see how practice goes this week and see how he looks on the practice field, and then make a decision from there. I think it just depends on how healthy he is, yeah.
We so often look at the past in this rivalry the last few years. You talk about the 4 straight losses, but this team, you talk about writing their own story. They really haven't played. There's a lot of young guys going out there playing this rivalry for the first time. Can that be helpful that this is their first opportunity for so many guys?
I think it's a good mix of guys that were here last year and some guys who are fresh to the party. So it's a different group. It's a different dynamic. They all know how important it is. We have a great mix. Our whole foundation is built off of guys from Ohio. We can't just recruit Ohio guys. There's just too many great, talented players throughout the country. But our foundation is from Ohio, and those guys grew up seeing the rivalry, knowing the rivalry, and then obviously when we recruit everybody into the program, whether it's a player or a coach, they understand what this rivalry means. So they all know, they get it. But for some of these guys, it'll be their first time out there, and then the older guys can kind of show them the way in terms of what it means for preparation and all that. And but I think when you look at some of these guys and what their perspective was of kind of how last season went, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what came with it, there's a lot to learn from there, and I think these guys will be prepared.
Last question to Tim.
Me? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you, man. Thanks, Mike. By the way, should we, this just throwaway question, should we get our injury updates from the Caleb Downs podcast?
I guess.
Okay, just making sure. How confident are you, talked about this a minute ago, but with Julian, that like Jim Tressel was talking on my show last week about, comes a time when a quarterback's got to make a play, off script, et cetera, do something special like Troy Smith did all through the, how confident are you in what you've seen of him just being able to, at times, wing it and get it done?
Well, I think that's the art of being a quarterback. If you just start winging it, then you're going to put yourself at risk just because you're winging it. Yeah, it comes naturally. You have to make great decisions, and when it's time to compete, you got to compete. But that's understanding time, situation, score, and everything that comes with it. So Julian is going to do a great job preparing this week. He has all the way up to this point, and he's going to work as hard as anybody in the building to make sure he's ready.
But you've seen him emerge in that area, right, over the last several games of being able to take a broken play and make something?
That's right. Yeah, and that's a sign of a good quarterback, when it's the way we drew it up, make the routine plays routinely. And when it's not the way we drew it up, you got to make the coaches right. And Julian's done a good job with that. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, that was Ryan Day talking before the game between Ohio State and Michigan, set for Saturday, noon kickoff in Ann Arbor. A lot of interesting topics there, including one question about Chip Kelly, who was obviously the former offensive coordinator who was recently let go from his job in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas Raiders, but also mostly questions about the upcoming game between these two squads. Ohio State coming into this game undefeated, 11-0. Michigan coming off a 5-game winning streak, including a big win over Maryland, and enters with a 5-game winning streak. Let's take a look before we go at the last 5 meetings. And I know recent history hasn't been pretty for Buckeye fans. The last 4 have gone to Michigan, including last year's 13-10 win, which ended in quite the scuffle after the final whistle blew. Ohio State looking for its first win since 2019 when they won 56-27. That game was in Columbus. So some history that Ohio State is looking to reverse. And let's also get a look at the AP poll going into this one, as it shows that this will be a top 15 matchup on Saturday. Ohio State, obviously, number 1, Indiana, number 2, Oregon coming up to number 5, and Michigan rising up to number 15 after their win over Maryland. They were number 18 a week ago, so they rose 3 spots going into this final week of the regular season with so much at stake, including a Big Ten championship berth on the line. If Ohio State wins, if Indiana wins, those will be the 2 teams that will face each other the following week in Indianapolis for the Big Ten title game. But obviously, so much more at stake. It is a rivalry. It is a storied one. This is the 121st meeting. There will be a lot of new faces that will be in the mix. We talked about Max Clare last week, who led Ohio State in receiving yards against Rutgers over the weekend. The tight end will be making his first appearance in the rivalry game after transferring in the offseason from Purdue. Julian Sayin was obviously part of the team last year, but this will be his first real taste of the rivalry in a starting quarterback role. Ryan Day asked multiple times about Julian, and Ryan Day just kind of going with that mantra of just win. And so he's repeating that motto going into this week in Ann Arbor. All right, we have so much more to talk about between Ohio State and Michigan coming up later this week here on NBC4 Sports Extra. We're going to break down the matchup. We're also going to kind of take a look at the psychology going into a game like this, how mentality and mindset plays a role into getting ready for a game like the game, the rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan. Also, we'll hear from the players going into this. Ohio State with another media opportunity on Wednesday night, Thanksgiving Eve. So we'll hear from those players as well going into the regular season finale. Ohio State 11-0, Michigan 9-2, both teams ranked in the top 15. A lot at stake going into Ann Arbor and the 121st edition of the game. For now, that'll do it for this edition of NBC4 Sports Extra. I'm David de Guzman. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye.
Thanks for watching. For more NBC4, download the NBC4 streaming app. You'll get free 24/7 local programming streamed straight to your living room. Just search NBC4 Columbus on your Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, or Samsung device.